Okay, so we are taking the differences between the radial symmetry and bilateral symmetry. First of all, let us see the differences between the radial symmetry and bilateral symmetry. Then, in case of radial symmetry, in case of bilateral symmetry, the principal axis, number of planes, all these are going to be different here. So, first of all, let me show you the principal axis. Principal axis in radial symmetry. In case of radial symmetry, the principal axis is going to be oroeboral axis. Oroeboral axis. Then in bilateral symmetry, the principal axis is going to be mid-sagittal axis. Mid-sagittal axis. Next, arrangement of body parts. In case of radial symmetry and bilateral symmetry, how does the body parts are get arranged? Arrangement of body parts. You need to see here. Then in oroeboral, that radial symmetry, the body parts are arranged surround the oroeboral axis radially. So what we said in case of mid-sagittal axis, in mid-sagittal axis, paired organs are present on lateral sides, either sides of the mid-sagittal axis, and the single, if the organ is single, that is above on axis, above on mid-sagittal axis. Straight away I'm writing above on axis. Excuse me. Okay, so then arrangement of body parts. So number of planes which we get equal halves, that also we need to see here. Through the oroeboral axis, through the oroeboral axis, if we cut that any plane, we are going to get equal halves. That means many planes, we can say many planes. Any plane, nothing but many. Then when it comes here in bilateral symmetry, only one plane, that is called mid-sagittal plane. So in only one plane we are going to get equal halves in this case, in case of bilateral symmetry. Okay. So then finally we need to see here, after all looking toward this, finally we need to go which one is more advantageous, radial symmetry or bilateral symmetry. So which one is going to be more advantageous? These are the basic differences here. The definition wise, we said in case of radial symmetry, through the oroeboral axis, if we cut the organism in any plane, we're going to get equal halves. Then in case of bilateral symmetry, then through only mid-sagittal axis, the plane passing through the mid-sagittal axis, mid-sagittal plane, we're going to get equal halves. This is the thing. Then, to understand the development of link with the nervous system and the evolutionary process of development, I'm taking two examples here. One representative I'm taking from radial symmetry, and one I'm taking from bilateral symmetry. One animal I'm taking from bilateral symmetry. So, just don't focus much on the picture I drawn. Definitely it seems to be some animal, isn't it? So that it's enough actually. It seems to be some animal life, that is enough. Okay, so you see the direction. That means you have to imagine the umbrella in 3 dimensions. Then umbrella. If you put an umbrella there, so can you see the direction of umbrella? Is it the say umbrella is going this side or this side or that side, this side? Can we say no? That umbrella can go anywhere. That means there is no any face for umbrella. So that's what we are talking. There is no any phase for radial symmetry. That means multi-directional movement. That is the basic difference in case of radial symmetry and bilateral symmetry. This is radial. Then here, unidirectional. By looking toward the animal, we can say here exactly it is moving in this direction. This is the direction of this animal. Not going up, not going down. So unidirectional movement. So this is the basic difference here. In case of radial symmetry and bilateral symmetry, the basic difference is in radial symmetry. In case of radial symmetry, there is multi-directional movement. Focus here. This is the only area having applications in this symmetry. So that's let's just focus here. I'm going little slow here to understand this much better. So that let me talk about the bilateral symmetry. In bilateral symmetry, unidirectional movement is present. In case of radial symmetry, multidirectional. Okay, in case of bilateral symmetry, unidirectional movement is present. What is the advantage to be unidirectional? What is unidirectional? What is unidirectional? That we need to define first of all. In case of unidirectional movement, a part moves first. A part of the body moves first. Then the remaining body follows. Then the remaining body follows. That means I just the thing I shown in the box. This is the part of the body who moves first and the remaining body follows. Okay. During locomotion from here in radial symmetry. Okay, we are not taking sessile form. That polyform or hydra we are not taking here. We are taking medusa. At least it will move. Okay. So when a part of the body moves first, then the remaining body follows. That we said unidirectional in the bilaterally symmetrical animal. Here, whole organism moves. Whole organism moves at a time. Whole organism moves at a time. Here, this is a speciality. Then in case of radial symmetry. Okay, so when a particular organism is moving like this, a part of the body moves first and the remaining body follows. What is the result? That slowly the part which moves first develops into head. The part who moves first will develop into head region. Okay, so formation of head is called as cephalization. That what I said now, that part who moves first will develop into head, and the formation of head is called cephalization. That formation of head itself called cephalization. So what is cephalization? What is cephalization? So cephalization means cephalic means headed. Cephalic itself meaning is head. Okay. So then what is cephalization? Formation of head. How the cephalization is happened? For that we have answer. But then how does the cephalization is happen? A part moves fast. A part moves first and the remaining body follows the part. A part of the body moves first and the remaining body follows slowly. That area developed into head. We are talking the evolutionary process. We are not talking about a single animal, which as the animal started moving and that slowly it became head. We are not talking like that. We have the vast diversity to discuss. Phylum Nematoda to that phylum Platyhelminthes to Chordata. That little prominent we'll find from Nematoda onwards. Okay. So that phylum Platyhelminthes, in that some among phylum Platyhelminthes also. Nematoda, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata, Chordata. In the series, the slowly whatever the things I said over that is happening. But what is the base for all these? How does the head is formed? Then how does the head is formed? So we have answer. In case of bilaterally symmetrical animal, there is a speciality of bilateral symmetrical animal, that is a part of the body moves first, remaining body follows. That we call it as unidirectional movement. That we say it as unidirectional movement. Okay, so let me show you a little bit clear here. The radial symmetry and bilateral symmetry, that what we discussed. So what we discussed here, there is multi-directional movement in case of radial symmetry. So why I'm stressing, that is very, very important and unique issue here, that multi-directional. Here, what is the specialty? Unidirectional. What is the advantage to be unidirectional? Cephalization. And the head, which is the head, that means which is moving forward among all the body parts. So that has to take the decisions, isn't it? When a predator comes, then when we have to escape from that area, so all that, for all that, that this head should take the decisions, isn't it? So that's why the neurons in this area are much accumulated, and slowly that develops into a centralized nervous portion called as brain. So how does the brain is developed? Same again, we need to say the unidirectional movement is the reason for the development of the brain. Then why not brain is developed in case of radially symmetrical animal? You see here, as we said, the whole organism move at a time. The whole organism, multidirectional and whole organism move at a time. So that's why what we can expect in case of radially symmetrical animal, diffused nerve net diffused nerve net is present in case of radially symmetrical animal. Then, due to the unidirectional movement, what is the advantage? Centralized nervous portion. Later times, that means in highly developed animals, we may call it as brain, but that we say ganglia, developed ganglia. Okay, so that finally brain, nervous portion, a centralized nervous portion. Where do you see the centralized nervous portion? In the head region. So why in head only? That's the question. Why in head only? Because that only facing that predators or that only facing the enemies, whatever who comes here. And so that's why it was developed here on. This is the part who is moving fast. Okay, let me give the conclusion here. In case of radial symmetry, you need to remember the whole organism move at a time. That we call it that an organism move at any place, that multi-directional movement you can see. Then whole organism moves at a time. That's why we say that they have the diffused nerve net. Okay, diffused nerve net. In case of bilateral symmetry, listen carefully. In case of bilateral symmetry, that a part of the body moves first, then the
అయితే
remaining
చూసినట్టు పాటలేంటి నాకు చెప్తుండు
part of the body moves first.
పొద్దున్న గంటలు గంటలు చూసినట్టు ఫోన్ తీసుకోవాలని వచ్చి తీసుకుంటాడు ఏం పని లేనట్టు
Okay, then, so ultimate result we are talking about a part of the body moves first, then the remaining body follows. A part of the body moves first, the remaining body follows. We call it as unidirectional due to that cephalization is developed, head is formed, we call it as cephalization, and a centralized nervous system is developed here. That's what the text want to see. That let me say especially here that there is an organism, that a part of the body moves first, the remaining body follows. The part who is moving first slowly developed into that head region, sense organs are developed, and centralized nervous system is developed there. We call the development of the head as cephalization, and the concentration of nervous system due to protect from the predators, enemies. Okay, so all this is happened because of bilateral symmetry with their characteristic feature, that is unidirectional movement. So that unidirectional movement, which means a part of the body moves first and the remaining body follows. That leads to the formation of head. That leads to the formation of the head. We call it as cephalization. And due to the cephalization, due to the unidirectional movement, due to the cephalization, a developed nervous system is developed here, that formed here. So that is the reason why we have brain, we can say. That means the basic for the bilateral symmetry is that we begin from phylum Platyhelminthes, isn't it? We start from phylum Platyhelminthes. The development of bilateral symmetry from phylum Platyhelminthes. Okay, so who is the last here in the series? That chordata. In the chordata, that means what I am saying, this development of the nervous system due to the unidirectional movement of the bilateral symmetry and followed by this development of the nervous system is slowly as a head from Platyhelminthes, Nematoda, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata. So why is that? Stage wise, phylum to phylum, it was improved. But basis, because of bilateral symmetry, that you need to understand. So finally, who is the last animal in the animal kingdom? Chordates. In the chordates, we are the last, mammals. That's why we have developed brain in the head region. That's what we are talking about. Okay. So let me conclude here. The bilaterally symmetrical animals are more efficient than the other animals seeking food, locating mates, and in avoiding or escaping from the predators. For what? Because of cephalization. What is cephalization? Formation of head and concentration of nerve and sensory cells in the anterior end, moving end. As a result of cephalization, bilaterally symmetrical animal can sense the new environment into which they enter and respond more efficiently and quickly. That's what we paid effort till the time. Okay. And in the form of note, they are given that the cnidarian sea anemones and some cnidarians, like anthogewans actually, that anthogewans have some biradial symmetry. They have some biradial symmetry, exception wise. Okay. Then, so finally, before we conclude, let us see all the exceptions which are related to the symmetry. All the exceptions which are related to the symmetry. Then after we'll give the conclusion for the symmetry. Okay. So that we have a word called primarily asymmetrical and secondarily asymmetrical. What is this? That we need to see here. Primarily asymmetrical, secondarily asymmetrical. So for that, exceptions also included here only that we understand along with them. Primarily asymmetrical and secondarily asymmetrical. Then primarily with radial symmetry and secondarily with radial symmetry. That is also the word we have. Primarily radial symmetrical and secondarily radial symmetrical. Okay, so for all these questions, and yesterday I raised some, like in case of bilateral symmetry, that single organ should be in the center, but if you take heart, it is there and a little slide towards the left side, isn't it? So for all these, that the thing which I am going to explain, that will be helpful for us. Okay. If any organism, like we start from amoeba, kingdom protista, or we have sponges, in case of sponges, in sponges, there is no pattern, no geometrical design in any plane you cut, you don't get equal halves. That's why we called it as asymmetry. Okay, that is asymmetry. That's over. Okay, next. In case of, let us remind our kingdom Animalia classification, grade Bilateria. That means all the animals of grade Bilateria should have what kind of symmetry? Bilateral symmetry. So example for grade Bilateria with bilateral symmetry, we said phylum Platyhelminthes to Chordata. That means Platyhelminthes, Nematoda, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, Hemichordata, Chordata, in between, whatever. So we are talking about these molluscans. Molluscans, particularly gastropod molluscans, who are gastropod molluscan snails. Snails. In case of snails, during larval stages, they don't have any problem. During the larval stages, there is no any problem here that they have bilateral symmetry. During a larval stage, they have bilateral symmetry. But this is the larva here. This is the larva. They have bilateral symmetry. But whenever this larva is growing, that growth is happened in that one direction. Posterior part is not that growing very much. You see here, till the time 90 degrees angle is formed. The growing occurs like this. The growth in 180 degrees angle. The growth in 180 degrees angle, and there is a twist. We use this word called torsion. That means, imagine this is the anterior end and this is the posterior end during larval stage. But the posterior end started growing in the anterior direction. It is 180 degrees angle. So whatever it means, that with the feature we call it as torsion. The feature we say it as torsion. So let me write